global Muslim population is expected to grow by 73% because of high fertility rates, 2.9 children per Muslim woman, vis-a-vis other religions, of course. While conversion to Islam remains low, the retention among Muslim community is very high. It is 90% plus. Demography is destiny unless there is something which is unforeseen which happens. यहाँ पे interpretation की कोई बात नहीं है. The idea of Darul Islam, the House of Islam, and the idea of Darul Harb is rooted in this classical Islamic jurisprudence. This is what I think is Saudi Arabia and Dubai's long-term plan to counter the influence of Muslim Brotherhood. जय गुरु, वेलकम टू हार्टलैंड डायरी. सबसे पहले दिस इज़ अ रिक्वेस्ट वीडियो. ये रिक्वेस्ट आया था एक वाज टू लुक ऑब्जेक्टिवली इनटू द एस्पेक्ट ऑफ अ पॉसिबिलिटी ऑफ अ फ्यूचर इस्लामाइजेशन ऑफ द एंटायर वर्ल्ड. वेरी सीरियस टॉपिक और इसको सीरियसली भी देखना चाहिए. तो मैंने थोड़ा सा रिसर्च किया, कुछ दिन टाइम लगाया, वैसे दूसरा काम भी था, but this took a little bit of time because I had to examine it from 3 different angles. और उसी 3 एंगल को लेके, उसी 3 एंगल के थ्रू ये प्रेजेंटेशन बनाया है. So this video is going to objectively look into the query of a prospect of future Islamization of the entire world through 3 major angles: demography, socio-cultural influence and politics. और एक चीज़ ये है, आप में कोई यहाँ पे सवाल कर सकते हैं कि टेक्नोलॉजी को मैंने इंक्लूड नहीं किया इसीलिए क्योंकि टेक्नोलॉजी इज़ गोइंग टू प्ले अ मेजर रोल इन एम्पलीफाइंग वॉट एवर दीज थिंग्स डू. डेमोग्राफिक बोलिए, उसका इम्पैक्ट बोलिए, या पॉलिटिकल इन्फ्लुएंस का इम्पैक्ट बोलिए, या सोशियो कल्चरल इन्फ्लुएंस का इम्पैक्ट बोलिए. सोशल मीडिया का काम है सब कुछ को एम्पलीफाई करना. सब जितना भी इमोशनल्स है, जितना भी कुछ हो रहा है, इफ़ इट्स अ ट्रैजिक थिंग इट एम्पलीफाइज, इफ इट इज़ अ गुड थिंग इट एम्पलीफाइज. So that is what technology does basically these days. So technology would aid in amplifying whatever is the result of these 3 things. तो ये मेरा मानना है, ये मेरा assumption है. तो वीडियो को एंड तक देखिएगा. इफ़ यू लाइक द कंटेंट फिर लाइक कीजिए, वो थम्स अप वाला लाइक कर दीजिए, एंड यू कैन शेयर इट amongst people. So let's jump into it. The first point is on our list is demographics. तो Pew Research Center का डेटा जो है, Pew Research Center का डेटा बोल रहा है कि ये 2015 का डेटा है. बाय द वे 2015 का डेटा है विच इज़ लाइक अ गुड 10 years ago. ग्लोबल रिलीजियस पॉपुलेशन का प्रोजेक्शन का जहाँ तक सवाल है, उसने किया था 2010 से 2050 तक का एक स्टडी किया था इन 2015, अ गुड 10 years ago, जहाँ पे ग्लोबल मुस्लिम पॉपुलेशन इज एक्सपेक्टेड टू ग्रो बाई 73%. सो द एस्टिमेटेड गेस इज 1.6 बिलियन से 2.8 बिलियन तक जाएंगे. दिस वुड बी पॉसिबल बिकॉज ऑफ हाई फर्टिलिटी रेट्स, 2.9 children per Muslim woman, vis-a-vis other religions, of course. This would be possible, second reason, because of a younger median age. In 2010, 34% Muslims were under 15, under the age of 15, compared to 27% of Christians. अब ग्लोबली प्यू का है, प्यू तो मतलब प्यू रिसर्च जो है हिंदुइज्म, जैनिज्म एट्सेट्रा को फ्रिंज रिलीजन मान के उसको ज़्यादा इम्पैक्ट में नहीं लिया. द बिगेस्ट 2 रिलीजन्स आर क्रिश्चियनिटी एंड इस्लाम. तो वो दोनों का कंपैरिजन किया. क्रिश्चियनिटी का अंडर 15 years ऑफ एज इज़ 27%, इस्लाम का इज़ 34%. So that's one of the other reason why demographics के बेस पे अगर देखेंगे तो they would be in a better position. Other reason क्या है? अलग और थोड़ा सा भी other reason, tertiary reason. Christianity is projected to grow slowly. A religion, as a religion, Christianity is projected to grow slowly. They would maintain a marginal edge in numbers, 2.9 billion by 2050. Hinduism and Buddhism and Jainism are expected to remain relatively stable. Okay, so पीयू ने हिंदू पॉपुलेशन का परसेंटेज वहाँ पे डाला है 15%. तो दे आर सेइंग दैट हिंदुइज्म इज गोइंग टू होल्ड एट 15%. बुद्धिज्म का पॉपुलेशन दे है वो वहाँ पे डाला है 7%. दे आर सेइंग दैट बुद्धिज्म इज ऑल्सो गोइंग टू स्टिक टू बी स्टेडी एंड स्टिक एट अराउंड 7%. So globally, Islam's share of the global population is projected to rise from 23% in 2010 to by about 30%. 29.7, 30% पकड़ के चलो. So 23% 2010, 30% 2050. Christianity would be at 31%. Islam would be at 30%. डेटा में एक इंटरेस्टिंग चीज़ है, ये मुझे बहुत इंटरेस्टिंग लगा कि वाइल कन्वर्शन टू इस्लाम रिमेन्स लो, ओके, नेट ग्लोबली 3%, इट्स लेस देन 3% ग्लोबली कन्वर्शन. देर आर पॉकेट्स जहाँ पे आपको लगेगा कि ज़्यादा हो रहा है, लेकिन ऐसा बहुत सारा पॉकेट्स है जहाँ पे कम होता है. ग्लोबली इज लेस देन 3%. लेकिन द रिटेंशन, फॉर वॉट एवर रीजन, the retention among Muslim community is very high. It is 90% plus. The retention in Christianity is way low because there is no ritual, there is no binding. The retention amongst practicing Hindus is way low. So Muslim communities mein retention stands at 90%, and a result of that is there is a reinforcement of cultural cohesion. और ये reinforcement रिजल्ट करते हैं क्या? दिस स्ट्रेंथन्स द कम्युनिटीज विजिबिलिटी, दिस स्ट्रेंथन्स द कम्युनिटीज पोटेंशियल पॉलिटिकल वेट. जो वजन होता है, पॉलिटिकल वेट जो होता है इन होस्ट कंट्रीज, जिस कंट्री पे ये लोग गए हैं, जहाँ पे कम्युनिटी फॉर्म करके रह रहे हैं, बिकॉज दे हैव गॉट एन एक्सट्रीमली हाई रिटेंशन विच इज क्लोज टू 90%. देयर इज अ सिग्निफिकेंट अमाउंट ऑफ कल्चरल कोहेशन, एंड देयर इज अ सिग्निफिकेंट sense of strength in their community bonding, in their community visibility, which makes them a very good potential voting bloc. So politicians always eye them, obviously. If I get a block of votes, and if I am a politician who has got no affiliation, no ideology anywhere, तो मुझे तो वो मिलेगा तो अच्छा ही होगा ना. So that increases, that in turns work to increase their political weight in those host countries. This is as far as demographic is concerned. What is my take? My take is that this is very clear. This is as clear as daylight. There are no finer interpretations to this. Demography is destiny, unless there is something which is unforeseen which happens. यहाँ पे interpretation का कोई जगह नहीं है, यहाँ पे interpretation का कोई बात नहीं है. Now we go to the next point. The next point is ideological drive. That's interesting, personally to me, because the idea of Darul Islam, the House of Islam, where there is Islamic law, and the idea of Darul Harb, where there is House of War, where Islam doesn't dominate, is rooted in this classical Islamic jurisprudence, particularly in the Hanafi and the Maliki school of thought. Today, the same ideology persists in varying form. So you have Salafi Wahhabi preachers who are backed by Gulf funding, like for example, very famous Saudi Arabia's $100 billion spent on global Islamic outreach. They've been promoting a vision of Islam as a universal system. Sometimes they are calling in for a global Darul Islam. Now, I was talking about technology, how it amplifies this physical इन्वेस्टमेंट बिहाइंड प्रीचर्स, जगह जगह जाके प्रीच करना, जगह जगह मदरसास खोलना, जगह जगह मस्जिदें खोलना, एंड strengthening their community bond, their visibility. This has been amplified by platforms like YouTube, X, TikTok, so on and so forth. जहाँ से आप देखो जाकिर नाइक जैसे आदमी आ गया with millions of followers, and it's a easy way, Peace TV and whatever TV, it's like you're using technology to the hilt to promote a particular ideology. So he's got millions of followers, and he's advocating for Islamic superiority, and he's actively advocating for it, eventual global dominance of Islam. या तो persuasion के through करो, या तो demographic shift के through करो. Okay, Now, अगर इसको थोड़ा सा भी ब्रेक डाउन करे और इसको थोड़ा सा भी नंबर्स इन टर्म्स ऑफ नंबर्स कि ये जो $100 billion ऑफ सऊदी अरेबिया सिंस 1970 विच दे हैव बीन इन्वेस्टिंग इन प्रोपगेशन ऑफ इस्लामिक आइडियाज, it's mind blowing. I have collected a couple of them, like media platform Zakir Naik's Peace TV and YouTube channel reaches millions promoting conservative vision. In Europe, वैसे मैंने कुछ दिन पहले एक आर्टिकल लिखा था फोरपोल में, कतर इज प्लेइंग द लॉन्ग गेम, ओनली कतर इज प्लेइंग द लॉन्ग गेम, आई गेस उसको पढ़िएगा तो वहाँ पे भी थोड़ा सा भी डेटा कवर किया है तो आपको आइडिया मिल जाएगा. इन यूरोप ये जो कतर फंडेड जो मॉस्क्स है, टर्की फंडेड कतर फंडेड जो मॉस्क्स है, लाइक जर्मनी में है DITIB नेटवर्क, दे हैव गॉट 900 मॉस्क्स. They are regularly hosting preachers who are regularly emphasizing, रेगुलरली क्यों बोलेंगे, वो लोग का काम ही वो है प्रीचर्स का, दैट यू एम्फसाइज इस्लामिक आइडेंटिटी, यू एम्फसाइज योर रिलीजियस आइडेंटिटी, राइट. यू आर अ रिलीजियस प्रीचर, आप जिस रिलीजन को लेके प्रीच कर रहे हो तो उसी का आइडेंटिटी तो आप करोगे ही. सो दैट गोज विदाउट सेइंग. So this 900 mosque mein, so 900 mosque is a physical network which has been laid across Germany. Now you are employing teachers, you're hosting preachers who are emphasizing your identity, religious identity, and they, on fair number of occasions, they are leaning towards political Islam. A good result of it is now they've started calling for Sharia in Great Britain because of the numbers, because of the political clout in Britain. तो ये गया आपका सऊदी अरेबिया एंड कतर एंड टर्की. सऊदी अरेबिया ने कतर, टर्की एट्सेट्रा गवर्नमेंट फंडेड. अब आगे जाता है नॉन गवर्नमेंट फंडेड विच इज मुस्लिम ब्रदरहुड एंड affiliates. They operate through NGOs, they operate through students group, they operate through charities. Okay, charities example is Islamic Relief is a good example. They are always promoting conservative values. Qatar has funded $1.5 billion in Muslim Brotherhood and Muslim Brotherhood linked groups to amplify their reach. Turkey का indirect funding है in over 2000 mosques globally, जिसमें से वो जर्मनी का जो 900 mosques बोला, वहाँ पे 800 mosques टर्की का ही funded है. This strengthens to a large extent the Turkish Muslim identity in these regions wherever they are getting funded. Interestingly, across a lot of forums, across a lot of debate and discussions, Indonesia and Malaysia दो नाम आ जाता है कि they are much secular, etc., etc. Incidentally, there are groups like Hizb ut-Tahrir which are pushing for caliphate in these places. There is another group called PAS which is advocating for stricter Sharia. रियलिटी तो ये है कि दोनों ही कंट्री में देर इज़ अ ग्रोइंग कंजर्वेटिव सेंटिमेंट विच इज़ बीइंग एम्पलीफाइड बाय ऑनलाइन प्रीचर्स ऑन प्लेटफॉर्म लाइक टिकटॉक. ओके, जहाँ पे आपको हैशटैग खलीफा आप चेक करोगे तो you'll see that it has millions of views. So there are conservative voices in Malaysia and Indonesia which are growing. There is a conservative middle class which is coming up. Right, interesting. And this is all going to get reflected now in the third point, which is politics. जैसे मैंने बोला कि demography, socio-cultural values, all of this finally gets reflected through politics. Now, come to the third point, which is politics. Muslim political participation is growing. It's booming, particularly in Europe, in UK, and USA. अभी तो वो क्या नाम है उसका, मामदानी, आई थिंक या मामदानी, आई कीप फॉरगेटिंग, वो भी तो अभी डेमोक्रेटिक होपफुल बन गया है. सो इट्स बूमिंग. यूनाइटेड किंगडम में देयर आर 12 मुस्लिम MPs दैट वर सिलेक्टेड इन 2024. 2019 में 8 थे, देयर वर 8 ऑफ देम. 2024 में दे आर 12 ऑफ देम. ये मलेशिया इंडोनेशिया का बात कर रहा था जहाँ पे देयर इज अ ग्रोइंग कंजर्वेटिव वॉइस, PKS, PAS, Hizb ut-Tahrir, etc. Their vote shares have gone up from 10% to 20%. It's like a 100% jump in the vote share of Islamist parties. Right? Little by little, जैसे यूनाइटेड स्टेट्स में भी आपको देखने को मिलना शुरू हो गया. Right? I don't know what Donald Trump is going to do. Donald Trump उसको भगा देगा, क्या करेगा पता नहीं. But Mamdani is one of the result. Mamdani से बहुत पहले इल्हान उमर थी, है. There's Rashida Talib, there's Ilhan Omar. These people have large voices amongst the Muslim communities in United States. So Mamdani is one step. हाँ ठीक है यार, you're like legitimately getting into the democracy game और यहाँ पे आप खेलना शुरू कर लो. लेकिन जहाँ तक बैक एंड का सवाल है, बैक एंड का ब्रिक लेइंग का सवाल है, इल्हान उमर एंड रशीदा तालिब एंड मेनी अदर, देयर आर CAIR. Okay, there are many of them that have actually laid the groundwork in United States also. My take is that there were three major historical setbacks for the Muslim dominance. One was the Spanish Reconquista, जहाँ पे यूरोप के साधन यूरोप से भगाया गया था. One was the Russian expansion. ग्रेट गेम का जो मैंने कवर करते रहते हूँ, बोलते रहता हूँ, वीडियोस भी है. सेंट्रल एशिया, Tsarist Russia in Central Asia, Soviet Union in Central Asia. So, एक Russian expansion and 2 world wars. So, there have been 3 major historical setbacks: Reconquista, Russian expansion in Central Asia and 2 world wars. इसमें क्या हो गया है? इसमें this historical setbacks actually have demonstrated that Islamic expansion has faced significant resistance, often tried to state power, and when shit had hit the fan for a section of people who were technologically advanced, they have doubled down on these Muslim regimes, on these Muslim expansionist forces, and they have like kind of beaten the hell out of them. When Russia got serious in Central Asia, there's nothing all those Central Asian Khanats could do, right? When Spanish people वो लोग decided that we've had enough, they pushed them back. First World War में the mantelpiece of Muslim importance in the world, Ottoman Empire, got destroyed. So as I was talking about my take, so historically they have understood the fact that if you use brute power, there are people who are more powerful than you, they can dominate you and you stand no chance. Hence today the context differs. Modern Islamization is centering around demographic shift, cultural shift and political shift rather than military conquest. And interestingly, democracy has turned out to be the biggest enabler in this protracted, मतलब एक अच्छा खासा लॉन्ग टर्म प्लान किया हुआ जो टेक ओवर है, इसका जो बिगेस्ट इनेबलर है, बिगेस्ट कैटलिस्ट है, इज डेमोक्रेसी. बिकॉज यू हैव अ सिस्टम, आपका सिस्टम है, आपका सिस्टम के अंदर में रह के मैं कर रहा हूँ, वट एवर आई हैव टू डू, देयर इज नथिंग यू कैन डू अबाउट इट. दैट्स द गेम. नाउ कम्स अ ट्रिकी टॉपिक. आई एम श्योर इसको लेके आप सवाल पूछेंगे. पहले भी एक आधा सवाल आया है, लेकिन नॉट दैट इंपॉर्टेंट, बट इसको लेके पूछ सकते हैं. डी रिलीजनाइजेशन. ओके, नाउ दिस टॉपिक कम्स टू माय माइंड बिकॉज ऑफ द एंडलेस telephone and WhatsApp conversation that I've had with Arsha Malik, and thanks to her for putting in all those points in my mind. Because you see, while Saudi Arabia has been modernizing Vision 2030, ये सब जो चल रहा था, Arsha Malik has always been a lot critical about कि ये लोग सच में कुछ कर रहे हैं या गेम अलग है. And I have actually been the one to always defend, नहीं क्या बात कर रहे हो यार, इतना कुछ कर रहे हैं तो कुछ तो होगा. Arshia has always been this, there's been a bee in a bonnet, she's always been telling me, नहीं अरे तुमको पता नहीं, यहाँ तो कुछ तो लोचा है, मुझे ना ये ठीक नहीं लग रहा है. You can call it a female intuition. Okay, I was looking through an angle of logic and she was like going with her gut feeling. So de-religionization becomes a subtopic in this, and यहाँ पे एक very interesting finding that comes out as a part of my research, whatever little research I could do. So as I was saying, countries like Saudi Arabia, UAE, they have been pursuing de-religionization program. De-religionization program में क्या करने का प्लान बना रहे हैं या क्या कर रहे हैं? They are countering extremist ideologies. They are aligning themselves with modernization. They are aligning themselves with economic and social reforms and things like that. Saudi Arabia's Ministry of Islamic Affairs, for example, they are regularly regulating mosques से जो सरमन निकल रहा है उसको, to avoid sectarian conflict. Because Saudi Arabia has got a fair number of Shia population, especially around the oil-rich region, East Saudi Arabia. So to prevent that, kind of a potential sectarian conflict, potential sectarian sense of disenfranchisement बोल सकते हैं. They regulate the content of the mosque sermons. United Arab Emirates, it is like, it has promoted initiative like the Hidayah Center. Hidayah Center क्या करता है? Violent extremism जो है इसको combat करते हैं. आज के दिन में practically speaking, as a result of which Saudi Arabia and UAE are probably the safest places for any resident to stay on earth. And this I am speaking with full, in my full senses. This I am speaking because I stayed there. Safest places, without doubt. आप गाड़ी का लॉक तो भूल जाइए, आप गाड़ी के अंदर आप अपना वॉलेट छोड़ के जाइए. यू गो आउट फॉर 1 hour, 2 hour, 3 hours, यू कम बैक, नथिंग हैपन्स. ड्यूरिंग माई स्टे इन दुबई, जब मैं काम के लिए गया था, और वेन एवर आई कीप गोइंग देयर, शटर डोर का जो कंसेप्ट है ना, अपना शटर नहीं है. Those that haven't been, I'm sure a lot of you already have traveled. Those of you that haven't been, और अगर गए भी है, और अगर रेसिडेंशियल, बिकॉज वी यूज टू लिव देयर फॉर लॉन्ग पीरियड ऑफ टाइम, तो अगर रेसिडेंशियल जगह पे आप जाके रह चुके हो, आप देखोगे कार्स तो एक तो दे स्टे ऑन रोड बिकॉज देयर इज नॉट सो मच अ स्पेस फॉर पार्किंग. एंड ग्राउंड फ्लोर का हर छोटा मोटा बिल्डिंग जो होता है उसका ग्राउंड फ्लोर इज डेडिकेटेड विद अ लॉन्ड्रोमार्ट एंड विद अ जिम एंड विद अ ईटरी एंड थिंग्स लाइक दैट फॉर योर कन्वीनियंस. तो गाड़ी ज़्यादातर बाहर ही रहते हैं, द मिडिल क्लास हाउसिंग में, नॉट द हाई क्लास हाउसिंग ऑफ कोर्स. और ये मिडिल क्लास एरिया, लाइक लेट्स टॉक अबाउट एन एरिया लाइक अल नहादा इन शारजा, which is not a very high flying area. It is a mediocre residential area, got very nice looking buildings and all. फ्लैट में लोग रहते हैं. वहाँ जो दुकान है, ये लॉन्ड्रोमार्ट एंड ये रेस्टोरेंट एंड ईटरी एंड जिम एंड एट्सेट्रा एट्सेट्रा, all the doors are glasses and there is no shutter door ka concept. So when they go out in the night, they just lock the door and they go out and they come back and they open it. These are, as I said, these are some of the most safest societies today. There's a extreme amount of regulation. Okay, coming back to the point, de-religionization का, Saudi Arabia का Vision 2030 या UAE का push for religious pluralism, interfaith conference, interfaith complexes, मंदिर बनाने दो, ये करो, they are signifying a shift towards moderating public expression, on Islam. लेकिन Islam retains the central role in the governance. Now why this needs a closer look? According to me, ये मेरे दिमाग में कीड़ा घुस गया है, अब क्या करे. हो सकता है आई एम completely wrong, but हो सकता है there is a sliver of a chance that, okay, whatever I say, whatever I'm about to say makes sense. You see, my guess is that these are Sunni majority monarchies with Islam as the state religion. That is not going to change. They are extremely safe places. Yes, wonderful places to live. Garmi bahut hai, that's a different thing, but you're staying inside AC any point in time. Safe places to stay. You're protected by law, everything. It's like the last, the last bastion of the erstwhile first world, जो यूनाइटेड स्टेट्स एंड यूरोप कभी हुआ करता था. आज के दिन में दैट इज UAE एंड बहरीन एंड सऊदी अरेबिया एट्सेट्रा एट्सेट्रा. बट एट देयर टॉप दे आर सुन्नी मोनार्कीज एंड दैट इज गोइंग टू रिमेन. डी रेडिकलाइजेशन का जहाँ तक एफर्ट है, सऊदी अरेबिया इज putting in this de-radicalization effort, but government policy mein it continues to marginalize the Shia Muslims. It continues to restrict within their Islamic space. It continues to restrict the non-Sunni practices. UAE का जहां तक tolerance of religious diversity है, it is probably aimed, at the expatriate communities to bolster its global image because the oil is running low. While Saudi Arabia's oil is not running low, UAE's days of successful commercial extractions बहुत कम हो गया, उन लोग का कैपेसिटी बहुत कम हो गया. Now they are aware of the tension between modernization and Islam. Saudi Arabia, Bahrain, UAE, they are aware of the tension, that what a modern society wants, what a modern society expects, what a modern society all about, what a Islamic society wants, needs, expect and is all about. They are aware of the tension, they are aware of the differences, and this is their way of maintaining religious legitimacy. आई विल गेट बैक टू दिस अ लिटिल वाइल लेटर. उससे पहले एक बार मलेशिया एंड इंडोनेशिया को लेके बात करते हैं. मलेशिया एंड इंडोनेशिया Constitution declares Islam as their state religion, but it guarantees religious freedom. Yet, it enforces Sunni orthodoxy and it restricts non-Sunni practices. So, Malaysia is another one. That is also another very developed country. In fact, as I said, मेरे एक पुराना वीडियो में I did have a brief talk about Kuala Lumpur where I said that it is suddenly not possible for Kuala Lumpur to overnight, a very mixed Cosmo crowd to overnight change into hardcore Islamic radical. At the same time, while they are guaranteeing religious freedom and all, but it is enforcing Sunni orthodoxy and it is restricting non-Sunni practices. Shia Islam जो है, Shia Muslims जो है, they face discriminations. Okay. फिर मैंने PAS जैसे पॉलिटिकल पार्टी के बारे में बोला था. दे आर पुशिंग फॉर स्ट्रिक्टर शारिया एट्सेट्रा एट्सेट्रा. सोशल मीडिया कैंपेन, कंजर्वेटिव ग्रुप, मॉस्क से प्रीचिंग एट्सेट्रा एट्सेट्रा. दे बेसिकली एनकरेजिंग यूथ टू एम्ब्रेस दिस काइंड ऑफ अ कंजर्वेटिव इस्लाम. ओके, तो right now there is a rise in the embracing of conservative Islams amongst the middle class population, as a result of which about 30% of the population prefers, 30% of Malaysian population prefers conservative Islam. Okay, so now coming back to Saudi Arabia and UAE, क्योंकि डी रिलीजनाइजेशन का बात कर रहा था तो इंडोनेशिया और मलेशिया को थोड़ा सा कवर कर लिया. Coming back to Saudi Arabia and UAE and Bahrain and all, this is selective modernization. This is my understanding. So yes, Arshia, if you're listening to the video, there is a point of agreement now finally between the two of us. This is selective modernization. And क्यों मैं बता रहा हूँ ना, this is a long term plan. Now ये मेरा, this is my क्या बोलते हैं, crooked mind speaking. This is a long term plan to counter the Muslim Brotherhood. ये मेरे को लगता नहीं किसी ने बोला होगा, कुछ ही वीडियो में या कुछ आर्टिकल में किसी ने लिखा होगा. दिस इज़ माई कंप्लीट पर्सनल ओपिनियन, एज आई सेड, कमिंग आउट ऑफ माई क्रूकेड माइंड. दिस इज़ व्हाट आई थिंक इज सऊदी अरेबिया एंड दुबई's long term plan to counter the influence of Muslim Brotherhood, as a result of which Islamic government are erecting parallel systems to reduce the legitimacy of Muslim Brotherhood. आज के दिन में मुस्लिम ब्रदरहुड it's basically not a government because they don't have a country, they are not a state, they are a non-state actor, they are huge, they are running universities, they are running every damn thing that you can think of, and they have got a very strong backing of Qatar. Qatar is a adversary of Saudi Arabia and UAE, etc., etc. So they are also taking the help of Turkey. So you could call Muslim Brotherhood a de facto representative of Qatar and Turkey. Now think of this, that if Saudi Arabia, UAE, Bahrain etc. come together and they form, ठीक है तुम लोग नॉन गवर्नमेंट कर रहे हो, हम लोग गवर्नमेंट के थ्रू एक मॉडरेट वर्जन ऑफ इस्लाम बनाएंगे. let's see who has a better influence among the Muslims of the world. Let's play this game. So my guess is that this is to counter and to reduce the legitimacy of Muslim Brotherhood and to regain the control over non-radical majority. Under that light, Vision 2030 or this efforts to modernize, all these alliances that all the people in Saudi Arabia are getting today becomes an internal political tool. It is their internal duel or their preparation for an eventual internal duel when the time comes with Muslim Brotherhood. Non-Muslims का यहाँ पे कोई लेना देना नहीं है. So this they are playing because they have a vision in mind and they are going to enforce that vision and they are going to act that vision out whenever the time comes. जहाँ तक इस प्रेजेंटेशन का सवाल है, आउटकम क्या है? Final outcome, all the boxes are ticked. This is one religion, this is one culture and one ideology with minor differences within their sects, which is completely, it looks like it's totally primed to dominate a large chunk of the globe by 2050. If 30% of the globe is by 2050 Islamic, then you can imagine the kind of political clout that this 30% would come to wield. जहाँ तक पॉपुलेशन का सवाल है, पॉपुलेशन ग्रोथ वुड कीप इट नेक टू नेक विद क्रिश्चियनिटी And as I said, like, population growth, as long as it is a democratic setup, always translates into political bloc. And democracy, incidentally, is going to act as the biggest enabler in giving them the political power that they are targeting for. So their voices will grow, they'll come to dominate most of the domains. This growth in voices would be accelerated, would be amplified by technological advancement, and that persistent will among different interest groups to forward their cause while staying away from military engagement. Don't get into a head on collision. Don't get into a direct contest with your adversary. Stay away from all kind of, active martial, military, physical engagement. पीछे से रहो, push your interest, forward your cause, influence people, grow your clout, gain more political legitimacy. Third outcome, derealization. Many of you are hopeful about it. I was hopeful about it. There's no harm in saying I was hopeful about it before I did my research, before my crooked mind started giving me prompts that now this looks like this is going to remain an internal tool of countries, states like ASA and UAE to wrestle back the control from non-government group like Muslim Brotherhood. I don't know the outcome of it. I don't know who's going to win. We don't know who's going to win. So when that happens, that happens. And they would not, by the way, they would not impact the larger picture. ये discussion का जो topic है, they are not going to impact that. This is their internal मामला. As for Heartlanders, as to the lessons that could be learned from this global juggernaut, there are many. I would leave that to you. Okay, if there are social activists amongst you, you can copy, you can suitably adapt, you can implement the same to reach your desired objective. These are very complex games. Power games are absolutely complex and, with different version and with different vision and with different types of longevity, these games are played always, everywhere. So, आप लोग काफ़ी स्मार्ट हो. सोशल एक्टिविस्ट अगर कोई हो, अगर कोई पॉलिटिकल एक्टिविस्ट हो जो देख रहे हो, देर इज़ अ लॉट टू लर्न फ्रॉम दिस काइंड ऑफ गेम्स एंड यू कैन अडेप्ट, यू कैन मोल्ड, यू कैन कॉपी, यू कैन डू वॉट एवर इट इज़ विद दिस गेम्स दैट यू जस्ट विटनेस. इसको लेके आपको रिसर्च करना पड़ेगा. ऑन योर ओन यू हैव टू गेट इन योर, you have to dig deep basically. So that's all for today. I hope you see, understand and internalize some of the patterns in this presentation. Get sharp and stay sharp, and I'll see you all soon. Jai Guru.